Welcome to this explainer. Today we are going to explore exactly how the Rodela Healthcare Engine version 2 is fundamentally transitioning global medicine. We are talking about a massive shift from reactive, everyday sick care straight into the era of proactive longevity. We're moving away from a world that merely reacts to symptoms after the fact and stepping into a future where artificial intelligence actively engineers a longer, vastly healthier human health span. So think about this for a second. Should your geographic destiny dictate your lifespan? It's a profound question about the historically unfair lottery of where we're born, right? For centuries, world-class medical expertise has essentially been a luxury. If you happened to be born in a major metropolitan hub, your access to cutting-edge diagnostics was totally different than if you were born in a remote rural village. Your zip code literally dictated your medical reality. But there's this powerful motto driving the entire Rodela project: the sky belongs to everyone. The idea here is to treat health superintelligence as a universal human right. We're talking about ensuring absolutely zero distance to care, no matter where you live on the planet. By democratizing AI, the ultimate goal is to bring the processing power of a billion-dollar data center directly to handheld devices in underserved areas. It's about making sure life-saving intelligence isn't just locked away for a privileged few, but is universally accessible to every single human being.
All right, Section 1, the digital air gap. To actually get to this universal future, we first have to defeat a fatal flaw in our current medical infrastructure. We can't talk about a globally unified healthcare system without addressing the primary bottleneck that is, quite literally, costing lives on a daily basis. The crucial point here is this air gap. It traps your lifelong medical history in cold storage and disconnected hard drives. Think about your own medical history, your prenatal records, childhood allergies, maybe a vital scan from 5 years ago. Right now, they are scattered across different clinics, different software systems, maybe even different countries. So when an emergency strikes, doctors are forced to make life or death decisions without having your complete past world history right there in front of them. That delay, that massive fragmentation, that is the air gap.
We've all experienced what we call the old stack. It is a manual, click-heavy misery. It forces doctors to open endless software tabs, manually sync data, and suffer through intense administrative burnout just to figure out what happened to you last year. But agentic healthcare? That is a whole different ballgame. It's totally proactive. It unifies records with zero latency, spotting molecular signals of decline years before a disease even has the chance to manifest.
Which brings us to Section 2, Rodela Healthcare Engine v2.
To actually solve this massive fragmentation problem, Arshan's solution and lead system analyst Ojana Palash developed a revolutionary AI-native operating layer. You see, they realized that healthcare systems shouldn't just act like giant digital filing cabinets. They need to think, they need to coordinate, and they need to adapt. The Rodela Agentic AI effectively bypasses that fractured, lightning-struck chasm of the air gap, pulling your complete past world history directly into real-time clinical decision support. Data flows seamlessly into a central processing core, taking all that cold, isolated data and transforming it into a warm, pulsing global health twin that literally breathes with the patient in real time, instantly providing administrative automation and vital clinical advice.
Moving on to Section 3, the unified sky architecture. A system this ambitious absolutely cannot be built in a silo. It requires the heavy hitters, the titans of the tech world, working in perfect harmony. By integrating these giants, Rodela manages to offload networking tasks using NVIDIA DPUs. That essentially bypasses CPU bottlenecks, skipping the usual digital traffic jams, and drops global patient data straight into high-bandwidth GPU memory in mere milliseconds. It's a massive technical flex. Your medical history sits securely on Google Cloud, governed by IBM watsonx frameworks for total security and compliance, runs through Microsoft's AI logic, and gets processed on Intel Edge hardware. And all of it is accelerated by NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs to ensure the AI doesn't have to slowly look up your record, it just instantly remembers it.
Okay, Section 4, Agentic AI Clinical Copilots. So with all that incredible hardware in place, the system does way more than just store data. It actively thinks, coordinates, and adapts. It does this through autonomous multi-agent orchestration using something called the NemoClaw framework. Instead of just staring at static software tabs, imagine specialized AI agents collaborating exactly like a real-life digital medical team. Let's say a patient reports a symptom. Boom, the clinical copilot immediately evaluates the severity, while a predictive risk agent checks for sepsis risk. At the exact same time, a care coordination agent is scheduling a follow-up, the compliance guardian is logging everything for HIPAA, and the revenue agent is prepping the billing. They literally talk to each other, challenge each other, and build consensus entirely autonomously. It uses zero-shot reasoning to solve novel problems on the fly. We are way beyond simple chatbots here.
Now, you might be wondering, what if the AI hallucinates or guesses? Well, you absolutely cannot have an AI guessing in medicine. To ensure absolute safety, this agentic reasoning is rigidly anchored to expert-level ASPT pharmacology standards. By locking the AI's clinical logic to the latest American Society for Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics research using retrieval augmented generation, which just means the AI actively looks up the actual verified medical literature rather than just generating a random guess, Rodela acts as a flawless safeguard. It catches complex, multi-drug conflicts that a human doctor, rushing through a shift, might accidentally miss. Let's pivot a bit for Section 5, Biology meets AI Diagnostics. To really wrap our heads around how this AI orchestrates healing, let's look at a stunning biological metaphor from a real-world clinical case at the University of North Carolina. Sometimes, the absolute best way to understand a digital revolution is to look at a biological miracle. So, a 10-year-old arrives at the clinic in immense pain. A rare structural anomaly called dens evagenitis had broken off and bacteria invaded the core of the tooth. It caused massive cell death and severe bone loss all the way down to the root. Normally, you just pull the tooth and be done with it. But this clinical team chose a different path. They avoided extraction and attempted a highly complex regenerative endodontic procedure to literally resurrect the dying tooth. Just like how Rodela orchestrates different digital AI agents to fix a system, this treatment orchestrates 3 fundamental biological elements to completely rebuild the dying tooth from the inside out. In tissue engineering, you need stem cells. They act as your construction workers. You need growth factors to provide the architectural blueprint. And you need a physical scaffold to serve as the foundation for the new tissue to actually grow on. If these 3 biological agents don't collaborate perfectly, the whole thing fails. This bold protocol required immense patience. The bacteria were super stubborn, so the doctors actually had to leave medicine inside the tooth for 6 whole months. Once it was finally clear, they leveraged the body's natural construction workers. They intentionally provoked bleeding inside the tooth so a natural blood clot would form, which became the scaffolding. Then, they sealed it off with a high-tech bioceramic putty, essentially giving the tooth a brand new roof, and let the body's biological agents get right to work. It was all about providing the exact environment needed for a biological resurrection. And the results? Truly mind-blowing. The astonishing success of this biological reconstruction proves exactly what is possible when you give a complex system the perfect structural support. 1 year later, the bone loss was completely gone. The root had totally regenerated. The walls of the tooth were thick and fortified, and it was completely symptom-free. A completely dead tooth was brought back to life because the right agents were given the right environment to coordinate. And guys, that brings us right back to our digital framework. Which leads us to our final part, Section 6, the future of health span. Let's scale this concept up, right? From the regeneration of a single tooth to the optimization of the entire human lifespan. If a coordinated team of biological elements can reverse localized death, what can a globally coordinated team of digital AI agents do for the entire human body over a lifetime? Picture this. A 72-year-old traveler suffers a severe cardiovascular event in a rural, remote area. He is unconscious. There are no local records available. The standard emergency protocol drug would have literally killed him because of a rare allergy he was diagnosed with 20 years ago in a completely different country. But Rodela, acting as the ultimate digital guardian, instantly accesses that past world history across the global cloud. It processes the aspect pharmacology standard, immediately overrides the local doctor's protocol, and suggests the safe alternative. Life saved. This is the unified sky in action, instantly erasing the digital air gap to deliver hyper-personalized, life-saving intervention absolutely anywhere on Earth. So, I'll leave you with this thought. As we step into this wild new era of proactive longevity, if biology can resurrect a dying tooth, what on earth can an AI-unified medical history do for the human lifespan? We've finally closed the gap. The history of the world is now the heartbeat of the clinic. When artificial intelligence seamlessly coordinates the sum total of human medical knowledge, turning fragmented, cold data into a living, breathing digital twin, we might just find that the limits of human survival are vastly different than we ever imagined. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this leaves you as totally fascinated by the future of agentic healthcare as I am.